Do you know what's the best thing about propaganda? It's flexibility. You're lying anyway, so facts don't matter. You can change your narrative, alter the facts. Basically, it's no holds barred. Case in point, China. Let me take you back to June 2020. Chinese and Indian soldiers clashed in Galwan Valley. The Indian army announced that 20 soldiers were killed in action. What about China? Nothing. There was absolute silence on Chinese casualties. American intelligence reported 35 deaths. Russian state media said 45, but Beijing was silent. Do you know why? Because it was a bad look for China. The mighty PLA given a bloody nose by India. Not the best headline for them. So China decided to ignore their dead soldiers. Pretend like they never existed. That silence was also propaganda. Now, almost 1.5 years later, China has remembered Galwan, but this time the narrative has flipped. Galwan is not a loss to forget, it's a sacrifice to remember. How are they pulling off this propaganda stunt? With the help of the Winter Olympics, specifically the torch relay ceremony. 1,200 people have been selected to relay the torch. Among them is Chief Abao. He is a PLA regiment commander. Guess where he was in June 2020? That's right, Galwan Valley. Chi was one of the soldiers involved in the brawl. You can see him in these pictures from 2 years back. China says Chi suffered a head injury during the clashes. As I said, flexible propaganda. In 2020, Chief Abao and his fellow soldiers were ignored. They were practically ghosts. In 2022, he's a national hero. He's relaying the Olympic torch in Beijing, no less. And this is not a sudden pivot. This is a long-term strategy by China. I can show you the timeline. In February 2021, China admitted suffering casualties in Galwan Valley. They said 4 PLA soldiers were killed in action. Then came the anniversary, June 2021. This time, China dusted out the same Chief Abao. He appeared at a high-level meeting for border troops. Then came New Year's. PLA soldiers unfurled a Chinese flag near Galwan Valley. The message was clear. Around 2 years back, there were clashes at this spot. Today, the Chinese flag flutters here. It's a classic propaganda strategy. Turn your failures into victory. China has done that before. Just think about the Tiananmen Square massacre. Hundreds, possibly thousands of Chinese students were killed by the state. You know that. I know that. But what about a Chinese teenager? Textbooks in China rarely mention the massacre. When they do, the protesters are the villains. They're portrayed as extremists who threaten China. Now, Beijing is doing the same in Hong Kong. The annual Tiananmen Vigil has been banned. Textbooks have been censored. Memorials have been removed. The same thing has been done to the Japanese invasion and to the great famines under Mao Zedong, simply wiped out from history. China can do this because they control the media. Your schools, your newspapers, everything is controlled by the state. With that kind of power, you can easily alter facts. All you need is time. Galwan Valley is a perfect example of this strategy. It was downplayed in 2020, acknowledged in 2021, and now canonized in 2022. Who knows? Maybe it will make it to Chinese textbooks. Galwan will be rebranded as a successful Chinese conquest. It may not happen in this decade or the next. But China is notorious for playing the long game. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.